Hi, we're here with the Samsung Galaxy Fold smartphone, out now after several months of delays. It is a enticing and impressive and extremely expensive bit of technology. The Fold, obviously the big feature is the folding screen. It's a 7.3-inch OLED display. The seam is a little bit visible depending on the lighting conditions. If you're like watching something in full screen, you're less likely to notice it, but it is sort of there. So it has this front screen, which is absolutely tiny by modern day standards. It is a 4.6-inch diagonal screen. So I think that's you're getting roughly into the size of like the original iPhone. It seems thinner than that, which sort of lends it to this interesting situation where this phone that opens up to be a 7-inch tablet is actually probably one of the most easily one-handed phones, at least in its closed mode. So using the feature that Samsung calls continuity, apps can move from the small screen while it's folded into the big screen when you unfold it. Here we've got a YouTube video playing, and then it is immediately playing. It's actually super impressive how slick this is. There's no gap in buffering or audio. And then also, depending on your settings, you can have it so on an app-by-app basis, whether when you close the phone, it turns off, or when you close the phone, if it goes back to the front. The original Fold was just sort of manual open and close. And I mean, this is also manual, but it's a little bit, you can kind of see, kind of spring-loaded. It does that thing of where it's extremely satisfying. It's what makes it so much fun to fidget with. Because this phone folds, it has a absurd number of cameras. So we've got a cluster of 3 cameras on the back, which are a telephoto, a wide, and an ultra wide, except the ultra wide on the Galaxy Fold is 16 megapixels instead of 12. So 12, 12, 16 versus the iPhone 11 Pro's 12, 12, 12. And then on the front, there is a standard front-facing selfie cam. But then when you open it up, there are another 2 cameras on this front, I guess, which includes another selfie cam that's the same as this one, but also a depth sensing. But you do have some options of whether or not you want to use sort of the small screen as your viewfinder, or whether you want to do the whole like I'm taking pictures with a tablet thing. The Samsung Galaxy Fold is an absurdly expensive telephone. It starts at $1,980, so just shy of $2,000. And Samsung, to its credit, is aware of that, and they are making a push to position this as a sort of like, as a very luxury product that has sort of luxury pack-ins. So Samsung has what they're calling the Galaxy Fold Premier service, which has Fold Concierge. Basically, this phone comes with access to a 24/7 helpline where people can tell you how to use your strange new space-age device. You can set up meetings with actual people in real life to help guide you through the use of the phone. Also packed in, you'll find a pair of Samsung's Galaxy Buds. They are sort of the Samsung analog to AirPods, in that if you're using a Samsung phone, there are some added features of easy pairing and control and whatnot. The Fold also comes with a case. So it's a nice, soft, lightweight, easy, snaps on. Will help you from getting your the non-business parts of this phone scratched, but obviously like you're gonna have this big screen to worry about. The Fold does come with a screen replacement offer if you buy one before the end of the year. What that's good for is a one-time out-of-warranty screen replacement, but not for free. It'll cost you $150. Out-of-warranty screen replacements, once you've blown through that, are going to be extremely pricey. Final thoughts on the Galaxy Fold here. There are 2 main things to say about this phone, which is that it is impressive and astonishing. Like, I could look at this all day. It is really a fascinating and impressive feat of engineering. The other thing is that it's extremely expensive. I mean, $2,000 on a phone That is a lot of money, especially considering how frequently you are gonna wanna replace a phone generally. The Fold is very impressive for being the first of its kind. I am extremely interested to see where this concept goes in like the next 2 or 3 years. But I do have questions of like, how are these gonna be holding up in a year from now, which we'll only be able to find out a year from now. If you're thinking about buying the Galaxy Fold, it really has to be a decision that you wanna be on the sort of cutting edge here. You're willing to take the risks of being a first adopter, and you want to get as sort of payment for taking those risks. Obviously, it's very expensive for a smartphone, but to put some things in perspective, that's 2 base level iPhone 11 Pros. That would be approximately 5 Pixel 3As. We just looked it up. If you price out the most tricked out version of the 13-inch MacBook Pro, that comes out to you $1,900. So just like a little bit less than this. This costs more than my monthly rent. What you do get for that is a phone that folds. The base model has 512 internal storage, which is a ton, 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is probably more than you need, but running a big screen like this. If you want to get down to making some comparisons with the iPhone 11 Pro, obviously there are a number of places where they are wildly different. The Galaxy Fold costs about twice as much. The 11 Pro doesn't fold. And then another consideration is battery and battery life. The Fold, as you can probably guess, has 2 linked batteries in it that add up to over 4,000 milliamp hours. I think it's 4,200 and change, which is like a lot of battery, like into 2 days. A lot of it obviously is gonna depend on how much time you spend with it open, looking at this giant screen versus closed. If you limited yourself to this, which would be kind of silly, but I bet you could get battery life up on like 4 days, something ridiculous like that.